Welcome to the American Institute of Healthcare Professionals video on helping children heal from trauma. And it's very disheartening, very sad to see children deal with trauma and to be hurt, especially because they're so innocent. So it's very important in trauma-informed care to be present and to be there for little children and to help them. Unfortunately, children are a very vulnerable population to perpetrators, to predators, to groomers, and also fall victim to many crimes of assault, as well as become victims in famines, genocides, and wars because of their size and their inability to physically defend themselves. So this makes children more vulnerable. And because they're mentally also not as well developed in the brain and within their emotional functioning, they are very innocent and can be misled and controlled in other grooming cases. Trauma in some form affects 75% of all children worldwide, and 2 out of every 3 children experience some type of trauma within the United States. Of course, the worst type of trauma is human-caused, and this is where we refer to ACE, and this has been something that we've been discussing in very like-minded videos. These are adverse childhood events, which the more that occur, the more likely a child is going to suffer from long-term trauma ailments. And these can be anything from abuse to neglect to sexual molestation, physical violence, war, famine, poverty, and the list goes on and on. I think from Christianity, if you want to choose a particular religious figure, Jesus Christ says it best that it would be better for an individual to never been born or to have a millstone tied around their neck to be cast into the sea than to harm one of these little ones. And I think that speaks volumes, especially how compassionate Jesus Christ was, whether you are a follower or not. Those words are strong, and I think it calls us to be especially mindful of caring for the little children and to ensure that they receive everything that they need. When trauma does occur, physical development is slowed down. It's hampered in itself. Long-term negative events can affect the brain's development in children. It can affect negatively the neuroplasticity of the brain and how the brain interprets events and experiences from a cognitive role. This can really mess up the neural pathways and how they're formed and how children think and feel in regards to this. These negative experiences then can interfere with healthy, good, positive schemas, which involve love, trust, and safety, and instead replace these events with neglect, pain, and insecurity. In addition, the physical neglect can have a negative effect on the child's physical well-being as well as their growth. Children who remain in a toxic state of alert keeps the sympathetic nervous system activated, overflooding the body with cortisol and adrenaline. And this can injure internal organs over a long period of time and also have a negative effect on the numerous physiological functions of a child's developing body itself. In regards to a child's social development, various negative attachment schemas can emerge when neglect or abuse occurs. One is what we refer to as an anxious attachment, and this can exist during childhood development and also manifest in adulthood. And this primarily happens to children and adolescents who do not receive care from their caregiver, and it creates an anxious relationship that manifests not just with the primary caregiver, but with others, with other peers, teachers, or in other future relationships. What we see is a lack of trust amongst these types of populations, a higher dependency for help, and they overall have a very insecure outlook that their basic needs in life will be met. Many of these children display low self-esteem and lack basic solving skills because of this. Many have exaggerated responses and are unable to calm themselves down and soothe themselves when faced with uncertainty. And this can be observed by counselors or teachers or other peers. Other children who experience the same type of lack of care, neglect from primary caregivers will go the other direction, and they'll become what we refer to as an avoidant attachment. And these children exhibit a type of behavior that pushes away individuals. Since they've never had help, they become, instead of more dependent as anxious, they become more independent. They become more independent to a point where that hampers receiving help, accepting aid. It hampers the ability, it hinders the ability of them to form strong relationships with others, intimacy with others as life goes further. And this is a thing that will continue to develop throughout their development. Finally, we also see what we refer to as a disorganized attachment. And these are for children who receive an inconsistent care or care with a love-hate result between the primary caregiver. So this disorganized schema results where they don't really know what to expect. Some might ask for an adult's help and then the next day push an adult away. So this chaos and confusion in relationships manifests and causes a very difficult regulation of emotions. Many of these children have a dysregulatory response to situations. They're unable to control their emotions, to regulate them. And this leads to numerous issues of anxiety, depression, and PTSD later in life itself. So again, children who are not given love, safety, and consistent predictability and care, and if they are left untreated, they'll grow up to adults with many mental health issues. Fortunately, you could be broken, you can be broken, but you can be fixed. You're never permanently ruined, even when you have primary caregivers who neglected you or abused you. So there can be a reestablishment of healthy schemas in themselves, where new values of love, trust, and safety are implemented. But this just doesn't happen overnight. It takes empathy, patience, and training. And this is the role of mental health and healthcare and mentors and pastors and friends to create new relationships for these individuals and to understand that it is a very long process. And this is especially true with children who find themselves in foster homes, or children who are abused and are with children's services. And they are dealing with new caregivers, and they are coming in with these anxious or avoidant or disorganized schemas. So fortunately, a healthy schema can be reestablished through an earned, secure attachment. This is where children can learn to co-regulate their emotions from a healthy, regulated adult who can teach these children to again love, trust, and again feel safe in itself. It's imperative and a prerequisite that the environment promotes safety and trust, not just with the environment, but also with the counselor's abilities to instill that trust. Within that care and that new environment, there needs to be a predictability. Children need to have a routine, and that routine and that predictability helps them again feel safe. Children need to be able to play, because in play they communicate the most. And this is where that security and routine again comes in. Now, despite giving children all of these essential tools to again find love, trust, and security, they still have issues, deep issues. So it's important to help children with these issues, especially when they have outbursts. Many of them are going to have attitudes, anger. They're going to want to push individuals away, maybe not share resources. Maybe they'll be too dependent and unable to solve a problem and just burst into tears. Others may be extremely anxious. So it's going to take a lot of love, patience, non-judgment, and empathy. Now, does this mean we allow bad behavior? No, but it's done in a complete, unconditional, positive regard, as Carl Rogers would emphasize. So we set healthy boundaries that correct past schemas with consequences, but those consequences are founded in love and in empathy. And over the weeks, over the months, over the years, Any person that is broken can be fixed and healed, but it takes this type of new attachment schema for those neural pathways to finally discover there is other ways in this world to exist in itself. Obviously, those who hurt children are the worst of the worst. And the damages that they cause, as we've seen in this presentation, are far reaching. And many children never receive the help they need, unfortunately. And this continues to lead to the mental illnesses that we see destroying our society itself. So the family structure is so, so important. Maintaining that structure, maintaining love and security and safety within a healthy family structure. So these are things that we all need to reflect upon, especially with children who experience trauma, and the role mental health and healthcare and teachers and pastoral caregivers have in helping these children find again a well-being that has love, trust, and security. We are AIHCP. We offer multiple behavioral healthcare certifications, especially in trauma-informed care. Our link is below. Our number is 330-652-7776, and our email is info@aihcp.org. I'd like to thank you for listening, and have a good day.